Now, DJ Khaled is a name and face almost everyone recognizes. He's been one of the most influential cultural connectors in hip-hop over the last 2 decades. He's not a rapper. He's not a traditional hands-on producer, but he's more like an orchestrator, someone who brings the right people together, directs the energy of a record, and turns other people's creativity into global moments. He started off as a Miami-based radio personality between the late 90s and the early 2000s and used that position to build powerful relationships across the music industry. Relationships that would eventually lead to some of the biggest collaborations in modern hip-hop. DJ Khaled is arguably one of the most charismatic, captivating, confident DJs in South Florida. There's DJs and there's DJ Khaled. There's radio stations and there's 99 Jams. We are the #1 radio station in the world. 99 Jams. Let's go. And beyond the music, Khaled also later became known for his relentless positivity and motivational presence on social media. They want to kick you when you down, but they want to kick it with you when you up. Stop. Stay focused. Some people think it's when they initially see it and don't know you, they think it's an act. Like, is he trying to be funny? Is he putting on? It's definitely not an act, and I want the world to know. I'm super serious. His Snapchat era between 2015 and 2016 elevated DJ Khaled from a household industry staple in music to the internet's favorite motivational coach. But fast forward to today and you might have noticed something. You don't really hear about DJ Khaled the same way anymore. There was a time when every single year Khaled had at least one massive record dominating the charts. His voice was everywhere, his presence was unavoidable, but now a lot of the artists who used to frequently collaborate with him don't anymore. His name isn't circulating in the culture the way it once used to. The energy around him doesn't feel as present. So, naturally, the question becomes, what exactly happened here? Why did we stop hearing about him the way we once did? DJ Khaled is a 49-year-old former DJ and record producer born in the 70s in New Orleans to Palestinian immigrant parents. He first gained recognition in the late 90s, not through music releases, but as a radio host on South Florida's 99 Jams. That radio platform is what allowed Khaled to become a trusted voice in Miami's hip-hop scene, putting him in a position to move around with guys like Fat Joe. And then he eventually became affiliated with Terror Squad, helping run their live performances and energy on stage. And back then, Khaled's identity was way more raw and unfiltered. He actually used to go by the name Arab Attack. And according to Khaled, that meant attack with music. But he later stopped using it after 9/11 to avoid appearing insensitive. But even before that, Khaled was already in the rooms early. Back in the early 90s, while working at a small independent record store in New Orleans, he met a young Birdman and even Lil Wayne before he blew up. In 2006, Khaled released his debut album, Listen, the album. It debuted at number 12 on the Billboard 200. A respectable start, but it wasn't the project that stamped his legacy. Far from that moment came shortly after. Between the years of 2007 and 2008 is when DJ Khaled really entered the culture. In 2007, he dropped his second album, We the Best, and this was the beginning of the larger-than-life executive showrunner version of DJ Khaled that the world would soon recognize. That project gave him his first major hit, I'm So Hood, featuring T-Pain, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, and Plies. He also dropped We Taking Over, a massive anthem with Akon, Rick Ross, Fat Joe, Birdman, and Lil Wayne. That record cemented him as a cultural connector, pulling together elite rosters no one else could assemble. Then in 2008, he capitalized on that momentum with his third studio album, We Global. That project continued the wave with 2 more impactful records, Out Here Grinding and Go Hard. Both again stacked with some heavy features. At this point, Khaled was no longer just a DJ playing records. He was officially in a power position in hip-hop. Artists weren't just letting him in. They were rushing to be a part of his records. He had become the guy who could make a song feel like an event. The Weta Best Brandon was taking shape. The executive energy was becoming clear and the next few years would turn him into a mainstream cultural force. In 2009, his rise hit a major milestone. DJ Khaled was appointed president of Def Jam South, a real executive title officially proven he wasn't just hosting or curating. He was now inside the infrastructure of the industry. But with power comes pressure. That same year, 50 Cent aggressively targeted him, dragging Khaled into his long-running beef with Fat Joe. 50 Cent even released a video threatening Khaled's mother. A disturbing move that showed just how serious and unavoidable Khaled's presence had become. Yo, I got this little poem I wrote for DJ Khaled. I know where your mama house at. Now look, you can see I know where your mama work at. Now look at sleep. And Khaled refused to respond, choosing not to give 50 Cent the publicity in his own words. In March 2010, DJ Khaled released his fourth studio album, Victory. This is when Khaled officially entered that era where you couldn't escape him even if you tried. The album featured the single All I Do Is Win. And this wasn't just a hit. All I Do Is Win didn't just chart. It became a global victory anthem. I'm sure most people have heard that song by the way. All I Do Is Win. Win no matter what. You probably heard that record, right? We're talking NBA arenas, UFC walkouts. Even the former US President Barack Obama walked out to this record. It wasn't just music anymore. It was cultural dominance, which is the exact thing Khaled was after. And around this time, Khaled's collaborations were becoming bigger and louder and more cinematic than ever before. He wasn't just putting out songs, right? He was manufacturing moments. But behind the scenes, not everybody was winning. Although DJ Khaled was building his empire in the mainstream, the people who helped build that foundation weren't all feeling the love. Because while All I Do Is Win was becoming one of the biggest rap anthems of the 2011s, T-Pain, who was one of the key voices behind Khaled's early success and of All I Do Is Win because he was on the hook, right, started to feel pushed to the side. For anyone who doesn't know, T-Pain was a major part of DJ Khaled's come-up. He was the voice of I'm So Hood, All I Do Is Win, and he wrote the hook to Out Here Grinding, which was performed by Akon. Toin was one of the main reasons why Khaled actually even got hot in the first place. And let's be very real, Tay wasn't some underground artist either. At this point in time, Tay was one of the biggest new artists in the entire music industry. He had back-to-back #1 records, was everywhere on the radio, and his auto-tune sound literally reshaped an entire era of music. Like T-Pain has inspired music so much and people don't even give him credit for that crazy. In the late 2000s, if T-Pain was a part of your record on a hook, the song was guaranteed to be a hit. And even if it didn't translate in terms of numbers, like just listening to it, Tin is on it. It's a hit. It is what it is, right? So Tay wasn't just a feature. He wrote hooks, set the sound, and basically became the voice of Khaled's biggest early records. To a lot of people when you heard DJ Khaled you were really hearing T-Pain because DJ Khaled doesn't sing nor does he rap, he doesn't write songs and doesn't actually producer songs. What the does this __, even do Khaled is more of a conductor and orchestrator. There's that, but around this time right there was another artist that was starting to rise fast and that was Future, and for people who remember Future wasn't doing that polished autotune like T-Pain, right? Future's tone was raw, emotional, gritty, straight from the streets, and that's the reason why a lot of people connected with Future and still do to this day. And suddenly, and this is what happened, Khaled starts calling Future instead of T-Pain for his hooks and his songs. And this is something T-Pain, he noticed this, okay. He noticed how the same DJ Khaled who used to be all up in his grill, all up in his face during a come-up suddenly stopped calling him the moment a new option entered the picture. Now, to be fair, okay, after the success of All I Do Is Win, Toin still appeared on DJ Khaled's next album, We the Best Forever, in 2011. And on that particular album, he was on Welcome to My Hood. He was on Can't Stop featuring Birdman, and he was also on the remix of Welcome to My Hood. And then on Khaled's next album after that, which was Kiss the Ring and that came out in 2012, Toin was also featured on that project, but he was only on one song. And so what was happening is that T-Pain was a part of Khaled's records less and less. And then comes October 2013, right? Khaled drops Suffering from Success, his 7th studio album. And for the first time ever, Toin was nowhere to be found on his project. Meanwhile, Future was featured 3 different times on records that sonically felt like they were built for T-Pain, which naturally raised the question, what actually happened here? Because at one point, their names were damn near inseparable. You couldn't hear a Khaled anthem without hearing Tay on a hook. Now, Tay actually spoke on this back in 2013, and he said something that people have been saying about DJ Khaled for years. In an interview with Vibe, Tay didn't hold back. He said, Future is on right now. Khaled deals with who's hot at the time. And what he said next was even more real and honestly kind of confirmed what a lot of people suspected. Of course, he don't need T-Pay when he got another T-Pay. He gets all the hot people and puts them on the song. He don't never go back and get somebody who's not hot. So T-Pay wasn't really even hating here. He literally said, if I was DJ Khaled, I would have did the same thing. That's what he said, right, but the underlying truth was clear. Khaled moves with momentum. If you're hot, you're in. If you're not, you're gone. But here's where things get really crazy, okay. All those anthems that Tay did with Khaled, listen up, this is crazy. He actually never got paid a single dollar upfront for any of them. A lot of people don't know, most of those features I did back in 2008 and 9 and 10. I did all of them for free. I mean, I did all them for free and all I wanted you to do was get back on my __. Now, to be fair, Tay did actually state publicly that he did get paid through publishing. But here's a difference, and anyone who's in music already knows this. This is very important. Publishing money is slow money. They call it mailbox money in the music industry. You get paid gradually over time. It's not the same as an upfront fee money right now or master royalties where you get paid directly from the song itself. Having a lot of success. So yes, Toyn was getting paid, but not at the level people assume, especially considering how central he was to DJ Khaled's biggest records. He didn't have any ownership whatsoever. He wasn't getting front-end deals the way a true collaborator would. And this is where a pattern starts to appear because T-Pay wasn't the only one who felt like that. Aside from T-Pay, there's also Ace Hood who's a very important piece of the story. Now, a lot of people may not fully be familiar with Ace Hood, the artist, but you've probably heard the song Bugatti with featuring Rick Ross. I woke up and I knew Bugatti. Bugatti wasn't some super mainstream hit as it only peaked at number 33 on Billboard. However, in the streets and in the strip club, it went platinum. So, it's definitely considered a hood classic, which carries a lot of weight and significance. Ace Hood was the first artist ever signed to DJ Khaled's We the Best music group back in 2008. And for years, Ace Hood was literally the face of that brand. Now, Ace Hood stayed signed to DJ Khaled for over 8 years and eventually left in 2016. And just like most breakups in the music industry, it wasn't personal. That's right, it was just business. According to Ace Hood, he said there was no transparency, no actual ownership on his end, and the entire time he generally believed him and Khaled were partners, but in reality, they weren't. DJ Khaled essentially had Ace Hood running around in these streets wearing the Wed to Best brand on his sleeve like it was his own movement. But legally, Ace Hood wasn't part of the ownership at all. Like, he literally had no equity, no decision power, just the face, not the controller. And this is when Ace Hood realized We the Best wasn't a partnership. It was DJ Khaled's company and he was just the talent repping it. Talent that wasn't getting compensated what he believed he was worth. And I wanted out of the situation just because if I start asking questions about my business and that makes you uncomfortable, it's maybe not a place that I need to be. You know what I'm saying. Although Ace Hood was technically signed to a major label cause Khaled worked with a major label, he was operating under DJ Khaled's personal imprint. Meaning Khaled still controlled everything that mattered to Ace Hood, the brand, the positioning, the narrative. Because when you sign under someone's imprint, you're not just signed to a label. You're signed to someone else, like a person under their legacy. You're moving in promotion of their name, their power, their decisions. They determine what drops. They determine what and when you get paid. And they ultimately determine if your career moves forward or not. And this is a great example of how DJ Khaled built his wealth. Cal has always been a business-first type of guy. But a lot of artists got fooled into thinking this _ was family because from the outside DJ Khaled has been extremely good at making things look like a collaboration. You know, brotherhood. We the best, we the greatest. And he made it sound like unity, but behind the scenes was strictly business. He structured everything, the deals, the contracts in a way where he owned everything. And they owned nada, nothing. What DJ Khaled was doing is straight out of 48 Laws of Power, for anyone who's read that book. And that is law number 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. That's literally DJ Khaled's whole blueprint. He puts his name on the front. He lets them do the rapping, singing, writing, producing, and yet he walks away as the architect of the moment, the face of the victory, his album Victory, right? The one who gets remembered. To the audience, it looks like love, we the best, family, brotherhood, a celebration of unity and culture. But on a back end, it all comes down to leverage. Because in business, positioning is everything and Khaled was always positioning himself as above the music, never inside of it. But every empire has its cycle. And while DJ Khaled is still undeniably successful today, there's something very clear that's been happening if you really pay attention. A lot of the artists who once used to stand beside him don't anymore. And you have to remember Khaled is not the talent. Without artists, he literally has nothing to orchestrate, no voices to leverage, no energy to position himself around. So, let's talk about a relationship that made DJ Khaled tens of millions of dollars, but one that he no longer has access to. A relationship that might be completely over. Drake. Yo, Khaled, you know, if I learn one thing from you when I was younger, it was why give him one when you can give him another one. I like that. Drake and DJ Khaled's relationship goes all the way back to the late 2000s. Their first official collaboration was the song Fed Up in 2010. A track that featured some of the biggest names of that era. But what most people don't know is that the story actually starts before that. Years earlier when Drake was still an unknown artist from Toronto trying to make it. He actually DM'd DJ Khaled on MySpace trying to get his attention, but Khaled never got back to him. He never responded. He left the boy on what do you call it? He just didn't respond. And to this day, he claims it was simply because he didn't know how to use MySpace at the time. Was that the truth? You can make up your own mind. I don't really know. Fast forward a few years, and everything changed. After those few years, Drake and Khaled's relationship eventually became extremely fruitful. For over a decade, Drake was one of DJ Khaled's strongest weapons, delivering some of the biggest records Khaled has ever had. But fast forward to the Drake vs. Kendrick Lamar beef, and everything shifted because in a moment like that, the industry quietly chose sides. Even if some people didn't openly betray Drake, people like DJ Khaled played it safe by staying indifferent. And neutrality is something Drake never forgets. For anyone who's studied Drake, especially not from someone whose career he helped feed. Because here's the truth. Drake has put tens of millions of dollars into DJ Khaled's ecosystem. Drake has honestly been DJ Khaled's cheat code, his shortcut to a guaranteed hit. So when Drake was getting attacked from every direction, Khaled, like a lot of people, didn't defend him. He didn't step up. He stayed quiet and like Drake said on one of his recent records, "What did I miss? What did I miss when I was looking at y'all and cooking with y'all and giving out verses and bookings to y'all?" Translation: I was feeding everybody. But where were you when it was time to stand beside me? And this wasn't just about silence. Khaled was still visibly close with Rick Ross, someone who Drake was actively clashing with at the time. And Khaled, you know, like the businessman that he is, he tried to play both sides. And when everything around Drake got ugly in 2024, he went completely neutral. And when he was asked why, this is what he said. I didn't get in that energy. There's two energies I'm not gonna get in. Hate. To the public, that sounds peaceful. But to Drake, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, here's where things get interesting, and it shows you just how critical Drake actually was to DJ Khaled's empire. In February 2025, Khaled was gearing up to drop his 14th studio album, A Lamb of God. And to kick it off, he launched a full-blown cinematic rollout, a 70-minute action film starring actor Mark Wahlberg. And in that announcement on Instagram, he used Drake's name. He said, "Drake's back to work. This is the album with 2 Drake records." But just minutes later, Drake came out the cut and publicly denied it. He commented, "Must be at Drake Bell, as in you must be talking about Drake Bell, the actor." And immediately Khaled panicked. He deleted the entire rollout from Instagram and put the album on pause overnight. Just like that. That's the power of the Drake stimulus package. Now, this moment sparked something way bigger for DJ Khaled in the industry. After all this, it's now being speculated that the reason why DJ Khaled hasn't been able to finish his new album is because the artists who once powered his success are realizing maybe they don't need him anymore. And you have to understand, before streaming and TikTok took over, DJ Khaled was the radio. He was a gatekeeper. If Khaled put you on a record, radio, label, blogs, BT, MTV, all followed suit. That's how artists reached the mainstream. But fast forward to 2025, that system is collapsing. Artists are blown up directly from the internet. They're blown up from Instagram Reels. The middleman is